It is a beautiful day today, and today is Sunday. So on Sunday, what do? We do meal prep. So we're gonna go to the store now and get everything we need to prep our meals for the week so that we are ready and we have everything good to go. We're gonna do this quick and we're gonna do it cheap too. Alright, the first thing we ended up with was 40 ounces of London broil. So we're going to grill this up later. Alright, the next thing we ended up with was 1 2/3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. Alright, the next thing we ended up with was 2 pounds of jasmine rice. And you can use jasmine or basmati, whatever you like. Any medium grain rice will do. Last up, we got our frozen vegetables. So I got broccoli and cauliflower, 2 bags of that, and a bag of California style, which is broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. So I like these 3 in particular because they're very, very low carb as opposed to peas or carrots or something like that. Alright, that's enough talking. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is get a couple of materials ready so that we're not trying to gather all the stuff while the food's already started, because you're not going to have a lot of time. We're going to do all this in an hour, and that hour is going to go really quickly. So let's go through some of the things that you're going to need. First thing you're going to need is a lot of aluminum foil, so make sure you have this ready. Next thing you're going to need is a cutting board. If you have a couple, that'd be good, but I do recommend, since we're going to be cutting chicken, make sure you have at least one plastic one available. Alright, so this thing is a steamer basket, and we're going to use this to do all of our vegetables in. If you don't have one of these, you can pick them up really cheap. It's a really good investment. If you don't have one, you can use a colander. There's a lot of things you can use outside of this, but I definitely recommend picking up one of these. As we go through and butcher our beef and our chicken, you're going to want a little scrap bowl. I like to keep this just the side of my cutting board so that I always have somewhere to throw my junk. You're also going to need a couple sheet trays that are lined in aluminum foil and sprayed with cooking spray. We're going to use these towards the end, but they're going to be very important. And when we get to these, you're not going to want to be putting them together, so go ahead and have these ready. Alright, we're going to want to have a large pot of water going on high, because we're going to steam our vegetables, so we're going to need the water boiling. Go ahead and get that started as soon as you're ready. Alright, so one of the last things that we're going to use is a rice cooker. If you don't have a rice cooker, I mean, you can do this with just a pot on the stove, but I like this because once we get it started, we just leave it to the side and don't have to worry about it until it's done. Alright, the last thing you're going to need is a big ass sharp knife. Make sure you've got this ready because we're going to use this the whole time, and the better your knife, the easier it's going to be to butcher all your meat. Alright, so the last thing we're going to need is Tupperware. Ready to go. I use 2 big sizes, 2 different sizes for putting the food in bulk. And then if you have your plastic trays, you can use those as well. But I prefer to store everything here, and I'll show you how to do that to make the food last as well. We're going to cook all of our meat on the grill. Again, if you don't have a grill, we can do it in the oven. You'll adjust your cooking times for that, but I like to do all mine on the grill because I got a ton of cooking space and I can do pretty much everything at once if I do it in the right order. So the first key to getting all this done and making this food so that it's going to last and it's going to be good at the end of the week is make sure that you rest your proteins to room temperature before we put them on the grill. It's going to help them cook evenly. Alright, so I've already trimmed up our cut. It was a pretty big London broil, so I broke it down into another piece. First thing I'm going to do is salt both sides. Alright, now what I'm going to do is tenderize this a little bit so that it cooks well on the grill and it holds throughout the week. Now this is where we get to take out a little bit of aggression. So cover your London broil in a piece of aluminum foil and take the heaviest pan that you have. Beat the shit out of it. For the steak, you can use any seasoning that you like. I'm going to use this Mrs. Dash garlic and herb. Who the fuck says herb? Who is herb? Use any seasoning that you like. I'm going to use garlic and herb. So just go ahead and sprinkle that on both sides. Go and press it in a little bit so it stays on the meat. We're going to go ahead and stick this on the grill so it can get started first because this is going to take the longest to cook. So let's go out and put this on the grill. So I've already got the grill preheated and I've got all the great seasoning, so we're ready to go. When you put your steak on the grill, put it on presentation side down because we want those nice grill marks on the top. Got 2 pounds of jasmine rice. We're not going to use all of this today, but it's good to have on hand. In fact, what I normally do is after I've bought a package, I just store it in a container so I can dip in here anytime I need it. And we're going to go ahead and start the rice because it takes the second longest amount of time to cook. Making rice is easy if you follow a very simple formula. Basically, all you want to do is use 2 times as much water as you use rice. So this is 1 cup, and it doesn't even matter that it's 1 cup. It's just one thing. So I know that if I add 3 cups of rice, then I need to add 6 cups of water. This is just regular white rice, but I like to flavor my rice while it's cooking so you get a deeper, richer flavor. I'm going to make kind of a curry rice. Pretty simple. I'm going to use just some regular poultry seasoning, a little bit of yellow curry powder, and salt. I'm just going to drop this in the rice cooker, close the lid, get white rice, and walk away. Alright, let's go ahead and check the meat and see if we're ready. Looks like we are ready to turn. And you'll see we've got some beautiful grill marks started here. The beef is on its way. Let's go ahead and finish up our chicken. So I've washed off my cutting board and flipped it over and washed my knife. I'm just gonna trim the chicken really quick and get off any of the junk that I don't want. And some of the stuff I don't want on here are these big pieces like this. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. Alright, these chicken breasts are pretty clean. They're boneless, skinless, and they came from the butcher shop, so they're already pretty clean. I only had to do a little bit of touch up. So I'm going to cut each of these into 3 portions. First thing I'm going to do is flip it over and find this overlap and just take that right off. And I'm going to take the remaining breast and I'm just going to split that in half. And I'm going to do that for the 2 remaining. So I've lined up all the portions of chicken and I'm going to use Mrs. Dash lemon pepper for this chicken. Again, you can use anything that you like. I happen to like this. A lot of these seasonings are salt free, so you don't have to worry about excessive sodium. All I'm going to do is sprinkle them liberally because this will come off a little bit. Now that everything's mixed, we're going to take this to the grill and lay these out next to the steak. I'm just going to take each of these pieces and lay them on the grill. So now all of our protein is going on the grill. This will all wrap up in just a couple minutes. We'll come back and turn the chicken. Alright, so after checking our steak, it's about right where I want it, maybe a little bit under. That's when I'm going to pull it off the grill, and we're going to let this rest. We're not going to cut this yet. In fact, we're not going to cut this for quite a while. What I'm going to do is throw it on the sheet tray that we lined with aluminum foil earlier, and we're just going to store this in the oven. We're going to let that steak rest so that all the juices stay inside the meat. If we cut it right now, it'll all run out and it'll be super dry. In the first bite, it's going to be horrible as you eat it throughout the week. So we're going to let it rest so it stays juicy all week. So I've already come out and turned the chicken. Everything looks good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the chicken and put it on the same sheet tray that we have our London broil resting on. Alright, so same as before, we're not going to cut this. We're going to let it rest so that everything stays juicy and doesn't dry out. Alright, so just as we did earlier, we're going to store this in the oven, let everything continue to rest. We don't need it to be warm because we're going to store it in our Tupperware, so it's okay that we're going to let it cool down in the oven. To do our vegetables, we're going to steam them in our steamer basket right above the boiling water. So a couple things that are important here. When we put the vegetables in the steamer basket, it's important that the vegetables don't touch the boiling water. If they get that hot, then throughout the week they're going to spoil. If we follow this method, I promise you that the vegetables we put in here today will be as green and as crisp on the last day as they were today. I cut open the bag. I'm going to dump the whole bag right on top of the steamer basket, but again, not going to let the vegetables touch the boiling water. Alright, I've got the vegetables in. I'm just going to cover them and let them sit for just a minute or two. This batch of vegetables is done cooking, but we want to make sure they stop cooking, because if we let them continue, again, they're going to get mushy, and we don't want that. So I'm going to take this basket and put it in the sink. Now what I'm going to do is run cold water over top of the vegetables. This is going to stop them from cooking and allow us to store them for longer. Now that I've sprayed them with cold water, I'm going to shake this basket until water stops coming out of here. It looks like we are pretty well drained. These vegetables are done. I'm going to go ahead and store them. And I'm going to store them in one of our Tupperware pieces from earlier, but you notice that I've lined it with aluminum foil. This is going to help you store them for longer because it's going to avoid contact with the bottom of the container. And it will also help for cleanup later because you can just rip the aluminum foil out and take everything out. We're going to line all of our Tupperware like this. Vegetables are done. We're just going to dump them in. Simply going to repeat that process for the remaining vegetables that we have. My rice is ready to come out. Even though the timer's not done, don't worry about that. Go by when the rice is done. And to make sure that the rice doesn't overcook, we're going to do something a little different with that as well. We're going to take this rice and dump it out on the sheet tray so that it has a chance to cool evenly. If we leave it in here, it will stay hot forever. So take all of your rice and put it on the sheet tray and then smooth it down into one smaller layer. So by doing this, we're going to allow the rice to cool evenly. It will cool much faster, and that way it will not overcook. To keep it from sticking together, it's going to stick a little bit, but to make sure that it doesn't get over starchy, we're going to take a little bit of rice wine vinegar and spread that across all of this. I hate vinegar. You are not going to taste the amount that we're going to use, and it's going to help your end product. So even if you hate vinegar as much as I do, you just got to get over this. So I'm just going to spray a little bit on top and then turn the rice. Make sure it's incorporated. Now that we have spread the rice out, got our vinegar on here, we're going to stick this in the oven and let it cool for as long as we can. This will be the last thing that we pack up. Our steak and our chicken have rested, so we're going to go ahead and move the chicken into our container, which we've lined with aluminum foil, before we butcher the rest of the steak. Since I have a tiny ass kitchen, I'm gonna just put my cutting board right over top of the sink and trim the meat. Notice that there's only a little bit of juice that's run out from the steak onto our aluminum foil. It's because we let it rest as long as possible. So the last thing we're gonna do with this is trim the steak. We want to go against the grain. Here I can see the grain going this way, so we're going to cut this way. Now that I've cut it, just take a look inside. You can see that we've got a perfectly medium rare piece of London broil. I'm just going to take all of this and put it in our container. Notice the amount of juice that has come out of the steak since we cut it. Because we let it rest, all that juice is still locked inside, and this is going to be good all week. So now I'm just going to go ahead, load this into our Tupperware. Our rice is cooled down, so we're going to move that to our last container. We're just going to stack all of it in here, and then we'll be good to go. Here's our end result. Our protein, vegetables, and rice are all batched up and in our Tupperware, ready for storage. We've got one little step that we're going to take with each of these left. Since we're going to store these in the refrigerator, there is going to be a little bit of condensation. To help soak up some of that condensation and keep our food fresher longer, if you take a paper towel or two, see I'm taking a paper towel here, I'm going to stick this just directly on top of the food before I seal it up with the lid. This is going to help absorb the moisture, and every couple days when you take this out to plate up your meal, just throw away that paper towel, add a new one, and you'll be good to go. You'll definitely want to change that paper towel overnight. So the first time you do this, go ahead and change it out. I'm going to do up the other two, and we'll be good to go. So now all of our Tupperware is loaded up. We have probably 6 to 8 meals here. You can upscale this, you can upsize these recipes for whatever fits you. If you want to do a little less rice, or more vegetables, more steak, more chicken, whatever you want to do to fit you. I make sure that I get enough lunches for the week, and I get 1 or 2 dinners. When I come home from the gym, I can just pop it in and it's good to go, but I may do something different for dinner on the other days. All I have to do now is throw these in the refrigerator and we are good to go. If you've taken the proper preparation steps and you had everything ready to go, you could be done with this in under an hour. And as we showed before, we did all of this for about $20. So I got a week's worth of food for $20, prepped everything in under an hour. And if you take advantage of some of the free time that you have while you're doing your prep, you can take care of the very few dishes that we had as well. So if you enjoyed this video, give a like down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment and I will answer them as soon as I can. For more videos coming soon, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. You getting that? You getting any of this? You get that right there? Any of this? Oh. Actually, no, come on.
Fire!
There's nothing more beautiful than a week's worth of meal prep than an empty dish. I fucked that whole fucking thing up. And there's nothing more beautiful than... That's not a sentence. That's not the right sentence. Okay.
Good cook is a clean cook. Just saying.
Okay, thanks. And then all your dishes are done. And the only thing more beautiful than a week's worth of meal prep all completed is an empty sink, because all of your dishes are done as well.
You're killing me. My back hurts.
No, stand there.